Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto is your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We're going to have a great show for you today. Today, we're going to have a great show. Hey, it seems like they're the bipartisan bill. As we speak, El Senor Biden is out there starting to talk about signing the bill. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They say they're going to pass Build Back Better in a few weeks. Let's see if Build Back Better lasts to be played in a few weeks. Anyhow, folks, it's great to have everybody on board. Thank you so kindly for being here. First of all, I just have to say, great news. Just got back from the neurological center with my daughter, and everything seems to be working fine in the cráneo. So I'll tell you what, we are on the return. I'll be here for a while. We still have a lot of work to go through, but you're looking at a very happy dad right now. Welcome aboard, all my peeps. Let's see who's here. AVQ, 200 car limit. It will be seen as a trial run and will happen again, likely in the run-up to the next election cycle. AVQ says as Restream didn't catch up. Hey, what happened is I was late getting started. I got back from the hospital kind of late, and I'm flying like hell to make sure that we could get this stuff on the mend or get this stuff going quickly. So if there are little hang-ups, we still have some quirks. I have some problems running the browser along with this network. So we'll not with the network, with the particular broadcast software. I still have to figure that one out. We'll figure that one out. It's a new thing that has propped up. But anyhow, AVQ, welcome aboard. The events of January 6th are a warning to our nation's immediate future if we don't put on trial all those who planned, incited, and participated in the insurrection. It will be seen as a trial run and will happen again, likely in the run-up to the next cycle. Yeah, I see where you just fused the two of them, brother AVQ. May Wood says, hello all from Long Beach, California. May Wood also says, replying to Yvette Avery Herod, good afternoon. Yvette, I may have missed a few messages. I'll look into the other queue to see what I have missed. Let's see what else we've got here. We also have E2247, welcome aboard. Sarah Beethan says, you talk fast. You know what is so funny? I've been talking to my daughter about slowing down. You know, after a stroke, sometimes you get these things and you speed up or whatever. Well, maybe it is me who needs to slow down. Is that what you're saying, Sarah? Well, we'll see. Anyhow, AVQ says, CBO to release Build Back Better score by Friday. Love to hear that. AVQ, Democrats won't have any more excuses to not pass infrastructure spending. E2247 says, yay, Ashley, yay, Egberto. May Wood, I suspect that the bill will be passed but so watered down that it barely does anything. AVQ says, Sarah, yeah, Egberto talks quickly. He has to. There's a lot to cover. Love you all, guys. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard to Politics Done Right. What are we going to talk about today? Build Back Better. Look, I want to start with something because I want to talk a little bit about race first, and then we're going to get into the other issues. And the reason I'm talking about race is something that we did 2 or 3 days ago, but a friend of mine liked what I said, and also my daughter kind of said, hey, that is a message that we probably need to get over to people. So I want to play it once again today. I'm going to do that first, and then we'll get into the other types of topics that we want to do. And this one, if brother, I can't remember his name right now, it's here, it actually covers him. So let's go ahead and start with that video, and then we'll take it on the other side. I have a mouse now that can control several computers, so I'm kind of learning it and winging it to do it as well as I'm talking fast. Egberto talks slow, but he thinks fast. E2247, love you. Anyway, let's get busy. My response, let's take this and we'll take it then on the other side. I love interacting with my audience. I love interacting with you wonderful people. Let me tell you something, first of all, where I come from. I believe everybody, most Americans, most people in the world are good people. I think there are influences, externalities that are the things that really creates all the isms. My isms were created by how I was reared. How I was reared was created by how my parents were reared, etc., 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 and it goes on. Change is only made when it's intentional, when one decides that in order to have a better society, we actually make those changes within that then gets reflected without. I had a interesting conversation on my internet show, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and all these other places where it goes live. And there's one particular person who I don't think this person is a nice person. He's actually a supporter of the show. And he said, Egberto, if you look at everything through racial lens, then that's all you're going to see. Interestingly, I don't personally believe in race, but let me play this piece that I did from the show yesterday, because I think it's informative, and I think it is something that we need to get out there. And let me tell you how I know it's informative. My daughter listened as I was making the cut, and she said, Dad, I like that part. A millennial told me she liked that part because it makes a difference. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side. When you view everything through a racial lens, all you see is race. Lee Grant, I promise you, people of color do not want to look at things through racial lens. Unfortunately, they are generally forced to do so. I am a guy that doesn't believe in race at all. But when I walk into the store, I see the eyes, I get the following. When I walk into certain churches, I see what occurs. So instead of saying that we need to stop looking at everything through racial lens, I'm going to ask you, Lee, you're a good guy. You're also a good supporter, Brother Lee Grant. But I'm going to ask you to do something honestly. Lee Grant, because you're the one who made the statement, if you look at everything through race, then it is pervasive. I'm going to ask you the next time you are in an area that you are normally very comfortable in a white space and you see somebody different, whether Asian, black, or whatever, be honest with yourself. You don't have to tell me. Just be honest with yourself and tell me if you have a slight reaction beforehand. Because what people of color always see when they walk into white spaces is not necessarily racism, but an apprehension to who they are. And when we can honestly accept that to the point that we make, and I'm going to use myself as an example. I don't want to play like I'm some goody two-shoe or anything like that, because I'm not. And I always use my transformation from being a homophobe into one of the biggest gay rights supporters with a whole lot of gay friends. And let me tell you what I mean by that. There was a time in my life when if I saw two men kissing, holding hands, two women doing this, it actually had a material, even as I held back, it had a physical response on me. And that because of how the brain works and how I was cultured at home in Panama. I always tell people I have the 3 strikes: Black, Latino, and Caribbean. Very homophobic cultures. And I overcame that to the point now that it's not only mental, but it's also carnal. And it's important for us to get there. So what I tell a lot of my white brothers and sisters is something that is quite easy to understand. And that is, instead of telling people, when you hear black folk talk about, we're always talking about race, why don't you forget about it and somehow it's going to go away? Try to understand the space in which they live in and what they feel every time they go into the space and why they feel what they feel when they go into that space. Exactly. So don't you forget, hermanos y hermanas, about that. Okay? All right. Bruce Pollard, you are absolutely correct about El Señor Beto O'Rourke is going to be running for governor of Texas. Does he stand a chance? I think he stands a hell of a chance. Rose Williams, welcome aboard. Let's see, we've got Nanette Bird Smith, welcome aboard. Let's see who else we've got here that just came aboard. All right, I don't see any newer person. But yeah, Bruce, I think that is going to be a good thing that El Señor is running. Yvette Avery Herod says, thanks for sharing that. People can overcome those feelings. People can overcome those feelings that treat everyone as humans. Exactly, Yvette. Exactly. And that is what we have to be cognizant of over and over again. We're all human beings, right? And we've allowed externalities to create these things in us that try to differentiate between people. No cause, just because. No, we got to get rid of that. E2247, Native American Legends, the Great Peacemaker. All right, E224 says, White Roots of Peace, the Iroquois Book of Life. The Iroquois Books of Life. I mean, look, it is amazing, folks. Anyhow, continuing with the program, what else we got here? It looked like E2247 said something else. Roots of Peace. All right, let's go ahead and continue with the program. I have another piece now that I want to play for you because this one is rather important. This one is rather important. If I can get to my particular screen here. It's the person who's looking at what Democrats are doing and say, the problem that we have is messaging. And if you listen to Biden right now, you can see that Democrats really have a messaging problem. So let's take a look at that and then take it on the other side. I want you to listen to this Democratic strategist because he has it on the ball. Some people are saying, oh, Democrats need to go back to the center, that what we saw in Virginia and the close election in New Jersey dictates that we run to the center, dictates that we do things that we know is not what Americans really want. Let's go ahead and listen to this strategist. Actually, he's a Democratic strategist, and then we'll take it on the other side because too many are getting the wrong message of what occurred in New Jersey and Virginia.
You had this op-ed in the New York Times. Former Bill Clinton advisor Mark Penn and a pollster argued that Senators Manchin and Sinema are actually not outliers in the Democratic Party, but in fact are actually at the very heart of it. He adds that after the disastrous 1994 congressional elections, quote, Bill Clinton reoriented his administration to the center and saved his presidency. Mr. Biden should follow his lead, listen to centrists, push back on the left, and reorient his policies to address the mounting economic issues that people are facing. What are your thoughts on this? Mark Penn, correct here? Should Democrats pivot to the center? Because when you look at the items in these bills, they poll consistently well above 60%, 70%, some even getting as high as 80% when you're talking about things like family leave and other social programs.
Well, let me first say Mark Penn and that pollster were both consultants for Donald Trump. So I don't know if I would exactly take their advice on very much. But here's what Democrats need to do. They need to do a better job messaging. If you take the labels off a lot of these policies, they have insanely high support. But once they get labeled as progressive or Republicans label them as socialist, the numbers start to fall. And so Democrats need to start using biographies. They define Americans and tell those stories of how the policies either will benefit them or how their lives are better because of them. This isn't a tough thing to do, but for some reason, Democrats are insanely bad at messaging, and things haven't gotten much better.
Things haven't gotten much better. And he's absolutely right. Who will vote against knowing that they'll have family leave if something happens in their family? Who would vote against getting child care if they need to go ahead and get a job? Who will vote against getting dental care, eye care, and all these other things most insurance companies don't cover? Who will vote against that? But if they'll vote against quote unquote socialism, communism, they vote against tax and spend, they vote against I'll increase your taxes. It's all about messaging and messaging correctly, ensuring that people understand that voting on the left creates less cost to you and gives you more to do with what you have. If you understand that, if you go out there and not only campaign in what's known as the blue areas, but campaign everywhere, you may not win those people that are ideologically distressed. You will not win those people that are ideologically completely and entirely indoctrinated, but what you will win is those that are necessary to give you that percentage that matches the polls. 60% and above all support Democratic values. They don't have any Republican values to support because there are genuinely no known values there. Look it up. And I really mean that. I don't say that to be an anti-Republican or anything like that, because I'm not. I have a lot of Republican friends. Not only that sounds bad, because you know there are people who say, oh, whenever somebody calls somebody else, you're racist or whatever, say, oh, but I have a lot of black friends. That's not how I mean. I really genuinely have a lot of Republican friends, good friends, family that are Republicans. I got a lot of Republican friends, but the party itself has no policies that are centric to humanity. None. Zero. Zilch. Name me one, please, and I'll fess up to saying, oh, I guess that policy is humane. But please, name me one. Hey, one of our great supporters are in the house. Tim Danahy. How you doing, Tim? I hope you're still here watching. If you're still here watching, throw another comment in there to say, yes, Egberto, I'm still here. Hey, folks, if you are on YouTube, please remember, click that thumbs up to make sure that the algorithm is working right and sharing us around. And also, there is a bell. Ring the bell so that whenever we go live, you can actually get a notification on your if you're in the app on your phone, or if your app on your computer when you're on and we come live, we know that you will always get a little alert notification. So click that. First of all, subscribe to us if you're on YouTube. Also, ring the bell if you're on YouTube to make sure that you get a notification when we're here. And likewise, please remember, consider clicking on that button that says, what does the button say, folks? Join. Yeah, join. Click on that join button so that you can become a member of the PDR posse, which really help us keep doing what we do. We are way behind in fundraising for this year, especially since I've had to migrate here to Washington, D.C. So please go ahead and support us. Click that join button and become a member. We desperately need to continue your great support. Tim is still here. Hey, brother, Tim Danahy. By the way, let me guys tell you a little bit about Tim. Tim is the host or the host of a show called The Tim Danahy Show, of which I was honored to be a guest several times. The show is on hiatus, and we're hoping to bring that back. Tim, are we going to bring your show back? We hope so. And likewise, Tim is like I said, a great supporter of the show, and he interviews a lot of writers. And I think he has one that he wants to present. So Tim, let me read your comment there real quickly. I think it said, the transformation of attitudes towards gay rights is the result of a brilliant strategy detailed in This is an Uprising by Mark Engler. The lessons are applicable to today's topic. There's also a book that I think you said we should consider interviewing the author. What I would love to do, Tim, is if you could be in touch with the author, and as a part of our Politics Done Right Tim Danahy domain here, Tim Danahy Show domain, we have sort of a dual interview. So why don't we work on that? I didn't quite call you on that, so I'm putting you on the spot right now. Norman Reynolds disagreed Democrats are bad at messaging as the core reason. There is no media that supports Democrats. All are corp and pro GOP. And there is apathy, not folks that really are prone to messaging. AVQ says, Tim, diversity of tactics with a goal creating a government for the people. May Wood, replying to Yvette, says, Yvette Avery Herod, basically what changed me is I realize that those things don't affect my life in the least. If it does not need my approval, does not require me to participate, and does not harm me, my family, friends, work, or anything else, the only ones affected are them. And you know what? That is what privacy is all about. You hit the nail on the head right there, Maywood. You hit the nail on the head. Let's see what else we got here that I need to bring out from folks that have written. I think Norman says, no, I read Norman's already. Tim, your YouTube channel. I won't repeat that one. Conservatives say, from Tom C., if progressives stop talking about race, the problem would go away. So if conservatives stop talking about inflation, CRT, election fraud, socialism, etc., those issues would go away too. Tom, how could you figure out writing that without me even thinking about making that correlation? That is the message that is a comment of the day, Tom. I'm going to repeat that. Conservatives say, if progressives stop talking about race, the problem would go away. So if conservatives stop talking about inflation, CRT, election fraud, socialism, etc., these issues would go away too. Wow, insightful. E2247 says, autocratic oligarchs enabling former guy want a confederation of republics instead of a United States. Anti-federalists just like those who fought against the 1787-1788 U.S. Constitution. A lot of people think the Constitution came out in 76, but it's not really 1776. And I'm glad you put that out there. Yvette Avery says, it really is just that simple, but cultural ways can be ingrained deep. And Yvette, that is true. Cultural ways can really be ingrained, and all of us suffer from that. I suffer from that, right? I had to learn not to be a sexist, and I still have a bit of a sexist bone that hadn't left me. Let me give an example. And the reason this one I think has stuck with me is because some women like it, some don't. I don't know which one the women on my show are, or some are one way, some the other. I am always differential to women. Somebody come into the door, I open the door first or whatever. That upsets some women. That is sexist. Would you open the door for a man? Well, actually I would, but so I mean, it is complicated in how do you get the carnal portion of sexism out? You stop opening the doors, you stop giving differential treatment, you stop saying you're the one who give the roses, all that kind of stuff. Does that, so I mean, it is with the sexism, it's a bit more complicated than the homophobia. It's a bit more complicated than the racism. It's a bit more complicated than these other issues because of customs, etc., etc., etc. And I think you guys understand exactly what I am saying here. Tim Danahy says, I share strong progressive objectives, but believe their achievement is more probable with long-term strategic thinking, better messaging, and focus. Tim, absolutely nobody can disagree with what you said, and that is why we have great conversation. Because one of the things that Tim is a person that wrote the blog a few months ago that we played, and actually we played it again. I don't know if you know that, Tim. We played that interview that we did a few years ago, actually. Actually, it was a few months ago, where we talked about how to sell tax increases for the wealthy and how to sell the wealth tax. And it's really about messaging, I mean, when people complain about not wanting a wealth tax, even poor people, you'd hear them say, oh, we don't want to have a wealth tax because then they'll come against us and somehow want a wealth tax. Unbeknownst to most is that poor people pay wealth taxes. It's the wealthy people who don't. You want an example of that? Do you have a home? Do you pay property taxes? Yes. What is your home? Your wealth. It is your asset. You pay taxes on that asset. Okay, you have a car. Every year you register your car, you pay a tax on having that asset. That's a wealth tax, but it only really materially affects poor people. Everybody pays it, but when you reach a certain level with your stocks, etc., you don't pay it. When you transfer it, there's some limits to what you pay. It's all about messaging. If every American looked at their own personal economy and understand that their personal economy is being taxed at a much higher rate than the personal economies of the wealthy, that adoration that we have to protect the wealthy would start to erode, which is something that we need to get done. Because like I've said in many of our shows, and I try to say it for all the new people who continue to join the program in, it's not the wealthy that creates anything. It's not the wealthy that innovates. It's not the wealthy that do anything. What they've done is convinced us that it is them that promote innovation, that it is them that promotes growth. But you know what? All the inventions in this world wasn't created by capital. It was created with a person with an idea. A person with an idea. Many a times that idea needed monetization, capitalization. And the way our system works, we chose to have the capitalization of ideas done in the private sector. And notice what I said, the capitalization of an idea done in the private sector. And what do I mean by that? We, the people, still create the ideas. Ever been to a university? The university creates most of the drugs that we have on this planet. It creates the pieces for your spine. It creates the, what do you call those appendages, prosthetics. All those things are created most of the times the private sector. I mean, in the public sector. And they're perfected in the private sector after it seems like it will be profitable. In other words, the private sector would have you believe that they take a lot of risk, and for that risk, they deserve these large profits. It's a fallacy. They have fooled you. They don't take risks. They take small risks. And that is why when people say, oh, the stock market has always grown at about 7% a year. It only can occur that way if, well, you get the point. All right, let me continue with what my peeps are saying here. Tim says, I read Tim's already. To reply, Maywood says, Yvette Avery Hera, true, and it was, but I go looking at things, meeting different people, including gays, and realize that it was me that had the problem. I'm glad that you said that. It is me that had the problem. When I got over my homophobic being, one of the things I told, and this was at KPFT, there's a gay show right before mine, and I was explaining to them, by then I had already gone through my transformation. But when I was telling them the story, one of the guys, as I recall, was giving me kudos of great that I changed and giving me kudos. And I stopped him. I said, why would I get kudos for doing the right thing? What happened to all those people who never had that horrendous way of being that I had? They're the ones that deserve to be told, you guys are great, not me. What you should tell me is, it's about damn time that you got it straight. I don't deserve, because I finally saw the light, to be patted on the back. I deserve to be told, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard intelligence. Welcome aboard to have an intellect. Welcome aboard to now being smart. You don't tell a former racist, it is great that you're no longer a racist. You tell them, welcome aboard, and you invite them in. Nothing, you just invite them in. But as far as kudos because they're now doing the right thing, hell no. I think that is actually an incentive for people to do the wrong thing for a long time, for the high that they'll get for eventually doing the right thing. Just my take. I'd love to hear some of your takes on that. All right, Tim, I wish that my fellow progressives would focus their issues and pick their battles. I agree with you, ABQ. ABQ also says, money out of politics, wealth inequality, global warming, systemic racism, living wages, and universal healthcare, public colleges, taxing the rich, ending the wars. Estás correcto. Peggy Lopez says, for progressives' objective to come to fruition, the Democrats must get out of the business of working for their corporate overlords and begin working for humanizing. Get rid of corporate personhood. I had that discussion over the weekend with my niece who came to visit my daughter, her cousin, and we were talking about corporate personhood. I think just the two of us were really into it because she's a lawyer, she understood the concept. She told me she had to get back with me on corporate personhood. So I am going to be insisting on her getting back with me on corporate personhood. But you are absolutely right, ABQ. Peggy Lopez, for progressive objectives to come to fruition, the Democrats must get out of the business of working for their corporate overlords and begin working for humanizing. Get rid of corporate persons. Absolutely correct. 1776 Independence Declaration was actually a letter to King George III, Odell on the Virtue Declaration that was aid. Previously, it was the U.S. Constitution. Peggy Lopez also says, hi all, breakfast time for me. Just listening now. Hey, what are you doing having breakfast? It's 2:30, Peggy Lopez. I know you're in California, but come on, already had my say for this day. Hey, welcome, guy. All right, let's see what else we got here. Tim Donahue says, AVQ, bless your heart. I agree totally. However, note the word you use, battle. We'll succeed with kindness and patience. Make the comfortable with our side. Let me tell you something else. Tim Donahue and I served in a coffee party on the board for several years, and that is what we realize. A lot of times, honey works a lot better than the battle, and that's the reason why you notice we're all inclusive here at Politics Done Right. Folks, if you are on YouTube, please give that thumbs up now. Click on that thumbs up, and likewise, please remember to ring that bell so that whenever we go online, you can actually get a notice from us that say, hey, Politics Done Right is live. And by the way, if you are on Facebook, some of you have told me that you haven't been getting the notifications on Facebook. I just found out why. Facebook sent me a message saying, tell your followers to not only follow you, but to like your page. Follow your page, like your page. Usually if you like, it'll follow as well, but like and follow the page. But remember, most of all, during this video, if you're watching this video on Facebook Live right now, there's a bell. If you put it in full page mode, there is a bell. Click that bell so that you'll get a notification the next time we go live on Facebook. All these things Facebook is starting to send to kind of help folks out, I guess, to get done what they need to get done. Carl Cox is in the house. The tax laws favor the rich, especially the super rich. Same goes for corporations. The wealthy are leeches. They are bad for the bottom 99% of Americans. Americans wake up. The media work for the wealthy. Exactly. But it's not only that. You call them leeches, I call them parasites. And look, I want people to understand the wealthy that we're talking about. We're not talking about those people that are actually productive for society, that work hard and deserve to have a couple of millions, a few $1 million. We're talking about those who build their wealth on the backs of others, on capital solely. That's what we're talking about. Let's see what else we got. AVQ, we need more young people who haven't been debased by the love of money to go into politics. You know, that's the reason I was really concentrating on my niece this weekend. She just got her law degree and the bar and all of that. And before she gets polluted by the corporation, I told her already. What I told her was simple. Work for corporate America. Get all the good money from corporate America and invest in things that move the country forward. Invest in all those things. Very, very important. Para ver qué más tengo aquí, Marywood says, Yvette, let me move on. Carl Cox, it's sad that the wealthiest 1,000 people in the world own more than the rest of the world, 7+ billion plus combined. That is what you call parasitic behavior. That is parasitic behavior. Democrats are trying to sneak a massive under-the-radar tax cut for the wealthiest Americans into the Build Back Better plan. The move is ridiculous. I haven't read that yet, AVQ. You may want to enlighten us a bit. I think you just gave us a link. Thank you, AVQ. I'll take a look at that link later. Let's see. We are at 38, which means it's time for me to say, folks, if you are on YouTube right now, please go ahead and provide us with a join. Please join our posse by clicking that join button. That will make sure that we continue to do what we are doing right here. I need to get to the right keyboard. Please as well, remember, you can support us by going, if you don't see that join button on YouTube, or if you're watching us on Facebook Live or any other network, you can support us by going to Politics Done Right. Oops, let's see if this keyboard is working correctly. Let's see, put it on that one. I think that's the right keyboard. We go ahead and we claim this. You can go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. Wait a minute. This keyboard is supposed to be running on this machine. It doesn't seem to be working on this machine. But anyway, still go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. It's not working. We'll try one more time. Not working. Well, that is probably my bobo, but I'll fix that bobo at some other time. Anyway, you can also support us by, if you are on, you can go to politicsdoneright.com/ what's the other one? politicsdoneright.com/ Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. Patreon. And you can also reach us at politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. Politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You know what? I just realized I can actually just do this with the mouse, and let's see if it works with the mouse. There we go. Politicsdoneright.com/YouTube is the way that you do that one. I was able to do it with the mouse only, guys. What can I say? Alternatively, you can support us on PayPal by going to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. Here is that PayPal link, hermanos. ¿Dónde está? Está allí. And you can also link to us by politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. And you know what? The catch-all to support Politics Done Right is another easy area. Guess where that is? That is at politicsdoneright.com/support. Hey, I want to ask you guys, why don't you go ahead and please get our books? I have written 4 books. Consider getting the book. It not only helps us pay the bills, it also gives us knowledge. I promise you, there's much in those books that you can get a lot out of. So go ahead, and there is the link right there, politicsdoneright.com/books. I got another video for you. Let's go ahead and play what this person had to say. It's a Republican strategist. Very important piece here. Here we go, and I got it. Republicans, even if they don't, Republican strategists that is, even if they don't agree with Donald Trump, they want to somehow make the fallacy, create a fallacy that they are there to govern, that they really know what they want. But here's a sad reality. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side, because I think it's important for folks to understand the fallacies that are out there.
This isn't about political courage, though. Let's be clear. This is purely about getting reelected. And so Donald Trump, when he's the useful vessel, they go with Donald Trump. When, infrastructure is up and they have an opportunity and they know their constituents want it, they will do that. It's the problem with the party at this point. It's become less about actual policies and more about personality.
Michael, to be fair, Republicans have always liked infrastructure. That's not like they took a thing just to get reelected.
It's been infrastructure week for 4 years during Trump. They couldn't get it done. Yeah. If they liked infrastructure so well, why didn't they get it done when they controlled?
He had a bigger number.
And he had a bigger number. I don't know about that, Susan. I believe you, but I don't know if the party actually believes that anymore.
We have to stop talking about what people talk about and talk about what people do. It is true. Donald Trump, every time his poll numbers went down, or every time there's a problem, it would be infrastructure week, because he knew that people really wanted infrastructure, but they had no desire to provide real infrastructure. Why? Because if you're going to provide real infrastructure, it means you couldn't give that humongous tax cut to the wealthy people that you gave, and it would cost money. So they did not mind leaving everybody, just fooling everybody into believing that there will be infrastructure week. Now, Democrats have to remember one thing. You think all the promises that they're making right now to try to win the House is going to come to fruition? Of course not. It will not come to fruition. They'll tell you they'll give you the world, but you're going to get nothing. So those that are Democrats, it's incumbent for them to let it be known. Use examples of what occurred 4 years prior, what's occurring now, and what is planned to occur in what we intend to have happen in the future. Do not be fooled, because again, that is how elections are lost. You have to play to your strength and not on somebody else's field. Don't forget it. We got to get busy. Absolutely so. We've got to get busy. Okay, going back to talk to my peeps. Let's see what we have here. We have from Peggy Lopez. Okay, well, no, before Peggy, I think ABQ said, May, I am done with Facebook. Gone permanently. What did Facebook do to you this time, ABQ? I'm curious. ABQ said, Egberto, the trouble with changing the system from within is that you already been swallowed whole. Rare to come out unscathed. You're absolutely true with that, ABQ, but here's the problem, ABQ. We have no choice. So therefore, we are going to have to be strong. We are going to have to be, do the right thing. Just got booted out pushing that bell. I think the bell, once you push the bell and it registers, you just come back into the feed, my dear May Wood. Egberto, the trouble with changing the system from within is that you have been swallowed. Yeah, you're right. ABQ must be on YouTube or Twitch. All right, the ABQ is on both. Actually, ABQ is on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. He takes whichever one gives him the best bang for the buck at the time. All right, Peggy Lopez says, okay, I cannot just listen again. The Republicans move to the right. The Democrats hold at the new right. The Republicans move to the right. Both parties work for the wealthiest Americans. Yes, but here is the thing, Peggy. It does not have to be that way. Please remember, we still have one person, one vote. One person, one vote. That is still is in existence, okay? So let's not forget that. What we have to do is work harder. What we're doing here is working harder. When you share our stuff, when the thousands of folks that are going to see these things in podcast form, and with your sharing, etc., we will make that change. Let's see what else we got here. Maywood says, I kind of miss Lee and Michael, our token conservative. Actually, we have a lot of conservatives. We have Eric, Mike, Ledo, Lee Grant was here a couple days ago. So no, they come around. I think they need to start getting the dings because Facebook may not be giving the dings. That's why I told you to ring the bell. If you're on YouTube, ring the bell so that you can get our things when we go live. If you are on Facebook, the same, ring the bell. ABQ, not only is President Trump's infrastructure plan dead in the water, it would do little to solve the fundamental problems facing the infrastructure. ABQ, I see you have another link there. I'll check that out later. ABQ says, what's FB done? There's too many to list. The straw that broke the camel's back. The post on my wall got less than 5 engagements per share. Despite that, I had nearly 6,000 friends and followers. They want you to pay. That's what it's all about. If you notice, even our Facebook following on live shows, they send us emails all the times to, hey, promote it. One of the reasons we don't do that promotion on either platform, right, is all these platforms make money just from having us do this work. To pay as well, just for them to give us the people that we brought them in the first place, I think it's all wrong. And that's why what we do is we stream on all these platforms, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. But what we also do is we make sure we have our email list that we send out to people so that they can go directly to these different platforms as well. I mean, in the podcast form. We also podcast at anchor.fm. So what we do is have the stories plastered all over. So if you get 10 here, 20 here, 500 there, 1,000 there, all together, it adds up. At least for now, for Maywood says, let's say, AVQ says, what's the point of sharing on FB when no one sees them? And I mean no one. Their censorship finally got me to quit. I hear you, buddy. And you know what? When more people do that, they'll change their ways. Maywood says, at least for now, until the Republicans get done with the voter suppression. I hear you. Tim Downey, he said, Egberto, I need to get back to work, but your listeners are exceptional. Great thoughts. We have great listeners both here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, but we get that big following on anchor.fm. You should check that out, anchor.fm for Politics Done Right. Okay, Maywood says that and in the Senate and the Electoral College. Okay, folks, I don't think I have any more videos to share with you. So if you have other things that you want us to discuss over the next 9 minutes, let's get busy. Let's see. E2247 says 1776 Independence Declaration was actually a letter to King George. Yes. E2247 also says Jefferson put up Virginia Declaration and then copied and pasted it into the Declaration of Independence. Well, I just learned that from you, E2247. I didn't know that. I'll take that at face value that you've looked it up and you've provided a link. All right, what else have we got here? Tim says he's going back to work. Okay, let's see. ¿Qué más vamos a hablar? ¿Qué más vamos a hablar? Beto O'Rourke is running in Texas for governor. I think a lot of people are going to like that. I think he can win. Some people don't think he can win. I have a good friend here, one of our members here, that don't think Beto can win. I do believe he can win. Another subject that I'll be touching on tomorrow has to do with Texas and the big freeze. If you guys remember the big freeze in Texas, the big freeze in Texas cost a lot of money. And guess what though? Guess who pays? As the rich people cleaned up, they're billing every Texan for what occurred on that freeze. We'll talk about that. I have the blog that I'm going to be writing and posting a video. Probably I'll do that tonight. I'll see how things go. I have a KPFT meeting that I have to attend, but I'll go ahead and think about that. Folks, if you have any other subjects that you want to talk about right now, stick it into either the Facebook feed, the Twitch feed, the YouTube feed. Nanette Birdsmith Egberto, do you think the states will prevail in their fight against the vaccine mandates? No, they will not, in my humble opinion. I think, remember, we have a corporate system here. And while many people would believe that, Republicans are the ones who don't want vaccines and all, which is true, it's not the real Republicans or anti-vaxxer. In fact, there are several progressives themselves that are anti-vaxxers. It's just that they found a way to politicize it in a Democratic Republican sphere. They cannot prevail, in my opinion, because, and unfortunately, it's not because they want to do the right thing. I think they won't prevail because corporate America will not allow them will not allow the judges to rule against. That's my thought. I think it is next to impossible that the judges will support in the long run, specifically the Supreme Court, which is nothing more than a corporate-driven device right now. I don't think they will dare not support the vaccine mandates. Any other questions? Maywood says, not surprised. Not surprised about what, Maywood? I'm not sure what you mean, but I am sure you will likely tell me. All right, another subject that I'm going to be tackling tomorrow is going to be that, what is it called? The, the supply chain. There's a piece that was done on 60 Minutes that I want to grab a little clip out of it and let you guys hear it. Mostly I want it to be heard by my good conservative listeners so that they can understand that the idea that somehow Biden has to do with supply chain is just simply ridiculous. All right, Nanette Birdsmith. So Abbott and DeSantis are all bluff. They sure are talking up a lot of legislative energy being used. They're both clowns. I hate to put it that way, but Abbott and DeSantis both know better. But they're both clowns. They would rather have... Look, Abbott has already murdered a lot of Texans by not supporting the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. And I repeat, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is a murderer. Why is Texas Governor Greg Abbott a murderer? Because numero uno, he did not support the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, which knowingly caused the deaths of many Texans. Numero dos, he allowed corporations, energy corporations, not to weatherize their systems, causing over 700 Texans their lives as they froze to death. You want to continue? We can go point after point. These Republican governors are, if you define killing, knowingly killing people, I mean, we can go to Michigan, the then Republican governor before the current woman that's a governor that's a Democrat. He allowed the switch in the water supply in, give me the town, give me the city, give me the city. What's the city that had lead in the water? What's the city? Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan. Thank you, AVQ. Thank you, Ashley Willis, for reminding me of Flint, Michigan. Anyway, they poisoned those people knowingly. They knew it was poisoned water. Tom C. says, Michael Flim says, U.S. needs to be one nation under God and one religion under God. Isn't that calling for a Christian version of Sharia law? So now conservatives don't want separation of church and state. Conservatism is a joke. I'm not talking about real conservatism. I don't support the current conservatism or real conservatism. But The crackpot conservatism of Michael Flynn and these others, they're not only silly, they're dangerous, anti-intellectual, and we can go on and on and on about. Tom, scroll up a bit. I talked about that earlier. ABQ says, gotta head out a few minutes early. ABQ, great seeing you. Nanette Bird Smith says, Team Ashley. Yes, folks, I want to give you guys a big thank you for being there. I get messages here on the post. I get messages by email. I get messages by text with you guys giving me support as I went through, as I'm going through what I'm going through with my beautiful daughter. I want to thank you guys. You know, you guys are our village. You guys are our village. And that makes going through stressful situations that much better, that much more pliant. So I'm telling you, thank you guys. Folks, if you are just joining us, please remember to go to, if you're on YouTube, click that join button, become a part of the family. Become a part of the family. Or you can go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube if you don't have that join button on YouTube. You can go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube if you don't have that button on YouTube. But you know where else you can go? If you want to find all the different ways you can support us, support that we need, especially with all the increased costs by being here in DC, you can help us out by going to politicsdoneright.com/support. And going to politicsdoneright.com/support gives you all the manners in which you can support this program to ensure that we can continue doing the work that needs to be done. Nanette Bird Smith says, I'm really enjoying her writings. She writes very well. You know, she went over to a friend yesterday, and the friend told her, it is time for you to write a book because the amount of stuff that has gone on in your life, your book would help a lot of people. Your book would help a lot of people. She now has a Medium channel. Please just look for Ashley Willies on Medium, and please give her a few claps on her work. Please also go ahead and follow her. Follow her so you can, so that when she gets 100 followers, she can actually start monetizing some of her writing. So if you can go ahead and follow her on Medium, Ashley Willies, follow her on Medium. Folks, I got to get out of here. I want to thank you guys so kindly for always being there for Politics Done Right, for being here every day. If there are things that you want me to talk about that I haven't spoken about, you got my email, info@politicsdoneright.com. As those of you who've used it before, I respond to everybody. I respond. Sometimes I have so many, I'll tell my daughter, look, my mailbox is crowded, 100, 500 pieces of mail. If I have to go through them all, I do. If it means no sleep, I do. So folks, please remember to go ahead and support us, politicsdoneright.com/support. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know what? You guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.